Easy come, easy go.
Welcome everybody to the How to Fix My Bleep YouTube channel. Today we're going to go over how to set up a home network switch, something I believe every homeowner needs to know how to do. So for example, when you first build a home, buy a home, or you're even renting a home, contractors often overlook the fact that people nowadays have a lot of electronics that they put into their house. Wireless and wired electronics, everything from a stereo system to televisions to even workout equipment nowadays plug into the internet. And so today we're going to go over a home network switch. So what's a network switch? It lets your electronics talk to each other and, more importantly, talk to the internet. So you'll notice in a closet, in a laundry room, somewhere you'll have this box on the wall. You'll have a whole bunch of network cables that all come out and they all plug in. And unfortunately, a lot of new homes have network cables that don't have anywhere to go or to plug in. So today I'm adding an extra network switch, and because this house doesn't have enough ports to plug in, that's why I'm adding another network switch, so that everything can talk out to the internet and talk to each other. So there are different types of network switches. So this is the most common, this is what most homeowners are going to need. This is called an unmanaged network switch versus a managed, versus a smart switch, an enterprise switch, a LAN switch, power over Ethernet switch. That's a whole nother rabbit hole for a whole nother video that we can go into in detail on another video on another day, because believe me, there's a lot to that stuff. Most normal, average, everyday homeowners just need what's called an unmanaged switch, lowest priced ones that just let your electronics talk to each other and get out to the internet. So with that, the only thing you're going to need for this little project: Phillips screwdriver and a patch cable, regular Ethernet patch cable, and let's get started. Okay everybody, here we are in the laundry room. Gonna start with taking the panel off to see what we're working with here. Because obviously we need to have power to plug this switch into. If we don't have power, kind of a mess. And I expect a lot of you are probably going to have something similar, kind of a giant rat's nest when you pull off your panel that your contractors put in. By grabbing my AC adapter. Gonna try to feed this up through here without pulling the plate off. Make sure we have a place to plug in the AC adapter. Okay, so there's extra power to plug in. Got the AC adapter plugged in. And then we're going to try to feed this guy up through this plate. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. It's tight. Power adapter wrangled through the plate. Plate back on. I pulled enough cables out through here so that I'm going to mount my new switch right down below the box here. So I've got enough slack where I can mount everything down here. I don't want to mount it over here because I've got all my breaker and power and everything running up above the breaker box and below the breaker box. So I'm going to mount it right here, and it's going to look good. Okay, so as far as mounting the switch on the wall, we're going to open it up. This is really easy. Look on the back of the switch, a couple of indentations. Take a piece of paper. Just kind of press your finger over those indentations. Get an idea where those things are. Mark with a pen over those indentations. Okay. And set your switch down. And on the wall, you can even use the paper straight edge. And you can kind of come down. You can measure it if you want to be super anal retentive, but you can kind of use the paper as a straight edge, kind of a guide, just eyeball it. Gives you an idea about where you want to set your screws or your nails. I'll rip the paper a little bit. Now I've got my 2 dots here on the wall. I know exactly how far apart to put those anchors. And I'm not even using anchors. I'm actually just using a couple of drywall screws. If you want to be super creative or whatever, you can use a level. I mean, it's on, it's accurate. You can hold your switch up there, kind of get an eye. I mean, that's where it's going to be. If that's where you want it, you can mount it. Mount it like that, and just kind of go from there. So next, take your 2 drywall screws, just 1¼ inch screws, and nothing crazy. You don't even need to go into studs with these unless you've got, like, you know, kids swinging off of this thing, which I don't really recommend. And you just want the tops of these just sticking out of the drywall a little bit. Go ahead and screw these right into the drywall. About 1/8 of an inch of the top sticking out. And let's see if the switch will hang on here. And we're actually going to put this so that your lights are up, top of the switch is up, it just makes it easy. And let's see if that will work or not. Okay, now that the switch is on the wall, what we're going to do is we're going to take our cables that we couldn't plug into anything before. We're going to now plug those into the switch, and don't use port 1 just yet. We're going to plug these extra cables into port 2, 3, and 4, and so on. And so I've only got the 2 cables I couldn't use, so I've plugged into ports 2 and 3. And here's the kicker. We're going to take a cable out of this box, cable out of port 4, so we're going to free up a port on my CenturyLink box. We're going to come down here. So So we just freed up a port. So we're taking a cable from my CenturyLink box to free up a port from there. And we're going to plug this into port 4 on the new switch. And now we're taking my new network cable and this is the important part. We're going to plug in from that empty CenturyLink port. This is the key. We go from the empty port down to port 1 on the new switch. And this is where the unmanaged new switch gets its internet link. We plug in to port 1, and honestly you can plug into any port, doesn't have to be port 1. Go ahead and plug in your power. And so long as this switch is hooked to a switch that has active internet, all your devices now that are plugged into this unmanaged switch can now talk to all of your other devices, and they can all talk to the internet via your main device that goes out to the internet. So next, to manage some cables. On top of the new switch, we've got link lights. All these cables that are plugged in are all talking. The link lights are flashing, power's on, everything is looking good. It's all talking to the internet now. So we're going to do some quick cable management. First off, I'm going to go ahead and put the cover back on the rat's nest box here. Careful not to pinch any cables. So we're going to carefully tuck everything in here. This is where it can get tricky. First thing you're going to want to do, get an idea of how much cable loom you're going to need. So just hold the loom up next to your cable. Cut it a little bit long. Going to need about that much. Just cut it with some good shears. So it takes some getting used to using this stuff, but you open it up, there's a crease right there. And make it look as pretty as we can. Use your thumb, go down along the crease, push those wires in there, all the way down along. All the extra slack goes to the bottom. You'll thank me when you're done, so will your wives. Well, if you're in charge of the household, you will definitely be very glad you did this. Get right to the bottom there. We're going to have this big loop. I'll show you what to do with that. A couple of things. So with the loop, twisty tie. Take your twisty tie, wrap this guy around the loop, Alright, there's that. Cable loom on. Okay, we are next. We're going to take a zip tie. We're going to go up top here to the big bundle of network cables. I'm going to put a zip tie around all these guys. Gonna zip tie them. Take your shears, cut off your zip tie. Now if we really want to get fancy, I'll go grab some double-sided tape, and we could stick this double-sided tape it right to the panel there. If we don't want to do that, if we want to pull this panel off again, not a big deal. I've got plenty of double-sided tape, but yeah, it can look really nice. We can tape that down to the panel if we want to. Okay, actually, better than double-sided tape, my best friend, Gorilla Tape. Gonna use just a little bit of this, rip it lengthwise, do a little roll here. Make nice, like a nice little tube, the stuff. Stick it on the back of your wire loom. Now I do theater room setups as well. Stick that baby right there. Same thing. Make a nice little roll. Back of your wire loom. And last step, make this look all sorts of pretty. Hide the ugly. One more zip tie right here on the bottom. Cut off your zip tie, and there is Greg's tech tip for the day. Switch installed. You've got all your electronic appliances plugged in, everything lit up, and you should be all set. Take care.